Hello and welcome. I'm Alexei Golob, and I've been on the brand side, the production side, the post side, and the agency side as both a creative and as a producer for my whole career.
And I'm Paul Copeland. I've worked in TV and then ad agencies. I've made a ton of commercials and content, and I most recently moved to production side because film and storytelling is always been my passion. Come on in, hurry back in, come on.
Welcome, pile in.
Everybody's still digesting their lunch. So let's start with the elephant in the room. When we signed up last November, we were working with the Mill. But if you're not aware, on the 24th of February this year, the Mill's parent company, Technicolor, announced the closure of all of its studios in Europe and US and globally. A very sad moment for the industry, because that's 110 years of cinema history, Oscar-winning cinema history, overnight disappeared. But is this really an indicator of the state of the industry?
Again, since the timing of this presentation wasn't really made with advanced knowledge of the closure, we decided to move forward and incorporate as many positive lessons as we could into a discussion on the state of the content industry.
So we were going to ask who's here. There's not many people here now because everyone's still digesting their lunch, but how many agency people are here? And production people? And are any clients?
Brands,
a few.
clients.
Okay, great, welcome.
Okay, cool.
And students?
No
They're all
students
having
right now.
lunch still.
Cool. Well, before we get to those positive lessons, and we've got something here for everyone, we want to acknowledge some hard truths about the state of content in this world.
And what do we really mean by content, Alexei?
What we mean is a great question. What we mean, really, it's everything that has eyeballs on it. So newspaper, television, social media, TikTok, YouTube, memes, whatever, UGC, ad content, AIGC, everything. All of that. For those that make their business in these industries, the situation appears a little bit dire.
We have entered a content singularity. More content is uploaded every day that can be watched by every human on the planet. Even if we use 2 screens, or we ask our pets to help. And that's just YouTube and TikTok, which means the vast majority of content barely or never gets viewed. And the relentless data deluge is now being exponentially exploded by AI content. Eventually, we might just end up with bots, talking to bots, watching other bots.
As this ocean of content grows, each individual piece of content in that ocean continues to earn diminishing returns for brands and has a shorter and shorter shelf life. And since content production has become more democratized, the agencies and the production companies are also earning diminishing returns as cheaper and cheaper competitors enter the market. It's not just the quantity itself is ludicrous, but the entire mental mechanisms by which viewers consume content is changing. In the same way that our grandparents had a hard time keeping up with the speed of our generation's films, younger generations today are consuming content even more rapidly with each passing year and each new platform and each new stylistic trend.
And it's not just that their attention spans are shrinking, it's their minds, their communication, their social lives, they're all being shaped by the mediums that they're communicating in. And it's becoming exponentially shorter, faster, more localized, more coded, and more algorithmic. The content they're absorbing is faster too. So in traditional media, over 50% of ads are now 15 seconds or less. And that's not to mention how fast people scroll through TikTok, Douyin, Reels, and Shorts, which means the window for which us advertisers are able to communicate with them is getting tighter and tighter, like a noose around our neck.
Not only does the work a lot of people make compete in a sea of shit, often it's not good enough. And if it is good enough, it appears that ROI continues to drop lower and lower no matter what as time goes on. And the worst part is that people don't even trust ads. At least they continue to trust them less and less as time goes on. Unfortunately, the race to the bottom appears to be accelerating, with a growth of over 63% in the amount of agencies globally in the past decade, making it clear to everyone that exists now or to those that are about to venture out, competition is going to be fierce.
And the institutions that carried the flag for decades are now being challenged by this faster, fresher blood that's able to disrupt the market quicker and faster, for better or for worse. Everything smart and creative people have trained for and have done for years has been, we feel now, is temporarily wasted in an instant.
We think it's important to call this what it is. is a bit of a shitty situation.
Shite.
Shite. Straight up
yes.
shite.
That's shite.
Well, the only real way to navigate through a shitstorm is to push straight through it. And we can't escape fear or change. So while it's important to acknowledge the gravity of the situation, worrying doesn't really have any value.
And the industry is changing, but it's not going to disappear. Okay, in the case of the mill, it sounds like a cliche, but every end is a chance for a fresh start. We've already seen that in the US. And for me, in Shanghai, it's an exciting time.
We can each do our part to shape the future of this industry by contributing to a healthy, ethical, responsible, and mature industry that respects human dignity.
And refocus on bringing brilliant creative ideas to life. But the worrisome question some people might have is, if the world is already drowning in content, what is the point in making even more content?
Is this a pointless ad?
Well, if you're not an existing Telstra customer, it is. No one else is getting the best deals this month.
Am I still getting paid?
I'm not sure.
Stupid ad.
So what's the point of making ads? Well, the thing we may have glazed over while we were doom looping back there is that people are still consuming more content than ever before, which means they're also consuming ads. So to say the ability to reach the audience is reducing because there's too much content, it's not really true. The ability of our content to be effective is still entirely dependent on the quality of the work itself.
So we put together some semi-useless suggestions that we've cooked up. You can take them or leave them. But we feel like they're critical to making sure that this content singularity changes from being a disaster into a creative renaissance for everybody.
Okay, number one. This seems almost too insulting to include this, but I've got to because it's true and it's important. I know for a fact there are so many people in marketing and advertising that do not absorb any content that resembles their target audiences. And this prevents brands from registering in the consumer's field of view. And it makes it very difficult to create effective content. Imagining making TV ads as part of your career, but never watching TV or never watching any TV ads. If there's a net increase in the knowledge of consumers' platform-specific content consumption habits, it should technically equate to an increase in the effectiveness of ads on that platform and more creative ads.
And in the same way, as well as being detached from the actual content the consumers are watching, a lot of people don't have enough knowledge of the platforms that content is being consumed on. And again, imagine if producing content without any idea how your customer is going to interact with it or be served it at all.
For marketing creative folks and industry folks really across the board, big and small, it's not that it's mandatory to be an expert in all of it, all aspects of media, social media and everything, but it's critical for everyone to be familiar with some aspects of media, social media or something. At least understand where the work that you're creating is actually being consumed. It's important to understand how content is disseminated and popularized on these platforms.
That's Judy.
Oh, don't look at her. Do not look at her. She's gonna try to sell us pancakes. I'm telling you.
What are you looking for? I have the best pancakes. Come Judy's for breakfast. I'm Judy. I have cafe. Come for breakfast.
So algorithms, they are now the decision makers and taste makers to the way content is being consumed. And we need to learn how to play them properly. So you're never going to beat them because they're always changing, they're always evolving. But at least if you're familiar with them, you know what you're up against, and you give your content a fighting chance of actually being seen. And blindly making content and spraying it wildly on every social platform, like with no strategy, leads to complete waste of time and money and energy. You might as well throw your money straight into the abyss without any strategy.
For content marketing to be effective, it needs a high level constantly evolving strategic approach that ensures an intelligent investment of resources for even a chance at securing any ROI. Number 5, it's a fact. For marketing to be effective, it needs to be creative. But here's the thing, creative content marketing, which is often a significant portion of marketing budgets, can't really positively affect ROI without being approached through an integrated marketing lens.
And it takes a village. It takes creative, PR, digital, social, strategy. They all need to work and think together, collide together creatively for ad content to be successful.
If there is a serious lack of cooperation or unified vision in a team, a marketing team or an ad team, it can lead to all sorts of problems.
Tubi is proud to be free for all the first responders who risk their lives to keep us safe. The teachers, illuminating the minds of our children, and the volunteers who build our communities. Tubi is also free for women who take day naps with way too many candles burning, couples who steal copper pipe out of the walls at open houses, and kids who skip class to throw rocks at windows. Because Tubi is free for everyone, and we mean everyone.
And in the past, it was kings and lords and maybe priests in the church that commissioned artwork. You know, think of the Sistine Chapel, think of the Last Supper. And today it's the brands that want to be bestowed that same honor. But with that comes responsibility. You need to fund, support, and create work that offers something more to consumers than just a sales pitch.
A brand's approach to creativity, whether it be content or experience or anything, is really a signal of that brand's status and of a brand's maturity. You can't really fool the market into being premium, and creativity plays a big role in that, content creativity.
This is one of the last great mill jobs. Beautiful work. Rest in peace, the mill.
It's in peace.
So long-form content, don't believe the hype, okay? People are still consuming long-form content in droves. Long-form content still has tons of value. There's thousands of videos on YouTube which are over 2 hours long. Right. The success of content relates to the quality of the work, its ability to captivate and entertain. And also, like in the example of that Burberry spot, it's how the brand is putting itself into that content. It's not in your face. The product's in the film all the way through, but it's not in your face. It's played really, really nicely. And if your brand becomes known for creating great content, you know, think of brands like John Lewis at Christmas or Apple at Chinese New Year. People come back looking for that content. And what's more, they'll share it as well for you organically.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Refreshing.
It's kissed by the perfect amount of tropical lime.
You can sing along if you like.
Ooh, the more I think of it, strange on the sea. Yeah, my flippers can't hold Mountain Dew. It slips right on through watershed. There's so much a seal can tell you, so much he can say. You remain my power, my pleasure, my fame.
Well, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast, a blast of tropical lime.
Good looking seal.
None of this makes sense.
So I'm now going to contradict that completely and also say that although long-form content is alive and well, short content is great. If you get a brief for a short spot, all right, embrace it. Short ads, 5-second ads, they're like posters. And posters are the purest form of ads. Unskippable, fast, direct. You can't ignore it. You walk, even if you walk around, not looking, you can't help but see posters. 5-second ads, to me, they're just moving posters. If short is the name of the game, you need to get better at it. Be better than anyone else at it. And for brands and agencies, if you run 6-second campaigns or 15-second campaigns, make them bespoke. Don't use cut downs. Right? Stop using cut downs. Invest properly in short form content and take it seriously for its own merit.
Don't thank me. Thank the savings.
You can't skip this Geico ad because it's already over. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
What I love about this is it breaks so many rules, right? It works as a 5-second. Everything's done in the first 5 seconds, but you're compelled to watch the whole 60 seconds. I think it's genius.
Number 9, AI is not the enemy. ChatGPT and Midjourney are a false threat. So ignoring AI for what it is and ignoring the AI opportunity, I think, is much riskier than the risk of ChatGPT or Midjourney taking your job. AI is a tool that reduces human workload. It's a technology that can be harnessed to create efficiency. So in this uncertain and changing market where budgets may be challenged or whatever, this is exactly the moment to embrace efficiency and AI as an augmentation to existing workflows.
Our poster is a use case example. So who assumes that this poster is AI?
It's definitely AI, Paul. You must have made this in AI, isn't it true?
It is not. It's full CG.
Tell us the truth.
But the secret is I actually use both. So what I used AI was to create a clear brief for the CG team. But the AI itself was full of glitches and warped phones and not doing exactly what I want. And of course, I didn't prompt, design me a poster for a talk about lots of content. I had the concept, the idea first. Whether you like the concept or not, I don't mind. But it's nothing to do with AI. I take full responsibility. I wanted to mimic Husaki's Great Wave in mobile devices. So with that in my mind, I went into Midjourney. And with the combined tool methodology, we're able to turn around the visual in 24 hours by iterating first in AI, getting to a point where it was really clear brief for the CG artist, and then moving into CG, which means that time and money was wasted time and money. We avoided a waste of time and money by avoiding a week of iterating in an expensive CG suite. All of that was done before we got to the CG stage. So it's really made the process completely efficient.
Whether it be more creative people in the workplace or more creative thinking within an organization, the benefits are well studied. You should look it up. It's proven that creative thinking accelerates revenue and profit inside of companies. For brands, this should be a wake-up call, and for creatives, it should mean that you should really realize the cards that you're holding. Success in this sort of changing environment means using creative skills and talent that you already have in order to adapt and succeed within that environment.
And number 11, why stop at 10? Let's break the rules. Wear orange trainers. So the last piece of advice, and I am stealing someone's words here, but it's more poignant than ever, be unignorable. If brands want ROI from marketing, they need to be willing to take risks, right? Propose risky ideas, support risky ideas, approve risky ideas, to fund and create bold work so that when everyone is going right, go left. Because the biggest risk here is spending a ton of money and being completely ignored.
Now, to summarize, in case anybody is confused, we're extremely bullish on content.
Obviously, there's a lot of individual uncertainty at the moment about how things are going to look in the future, and that's natural. But combined with a renewed focus on the realities of our craft, our skills, and the real market circumstances, the opportunity is undeniable.
First reason we're bullish, this industry is growing. The ad industry, content production industry, creative industry. We're seeing shrinking budgets, I think, in some places, but it seems like an overall increase in the total amount of projects and a net increase in the size of the market. I think the thing to pay attention to is how we, as an industry, facilitate this work, which is going to look different in the future, and create those efficiencies in order to maintain profitability.
And the second reason that makes us bullish is in-house teams are growing. And they're having a more and more important position in the branding and content landscape. And they'll continue to grow. But the big brands are investing with in-house teams. Like think Nike and Apple, they're all doing it.
Finally, the last point that makes us bullish is that the top 10 holding companies are now estimated to control only 31% of global billings, down from 65% 10 years ago.
So much like the trend in artisan goods and locally sourced produce, it feels like the time of boutique personal service is upon us. So while it might seem that competition is really fierce, it seems that the time has finally come for the little guy.
I hope that by the end of this era of turmoil, what we've achieved as a whole is a creative renaissance, rather than the opposite, a creative apocalypse, hell on earth, literal hell on earth.
There's new tools, there's new formats, new trends, and social discourse to tap into. Newer ways of finding a niche than ever before, either as a service provider or as a creator.
The future's in our hands, so let's not fuck it up. Cool. And we've got time for questions if anybody has any questions or insults or comments. What are you thinking, Steve? We don't have the time. Oh, you got a lot on the mind. All right, okay. Anybody out there? We could probably cut the music. Is that a hand? Do I see your hand raising? It looks like it's slowly going up. But okay, well, anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.